Welcome back to the Technology Risk Podcast.
Great to be back.
Today, we're tackling something a lot of us can relate to. That feeling of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Ah, the classic.
It sounds so sensible, right?
Yeah.
Especially when we're talking about technology that seems to be humming along just fine.
Seems fine.
But we're going to explore why clinging to that idea in the tech world can actually be like, well, ignoring a ticking time bomb for your security and your bottom line.
That's right. That familiar comfort of a system that's been running for years, it can be incredibly misleading. And we're going to be looking closely at those, seemingly stable old computers and firewalls to uncover the hidden vulnerabilities that can be lurking there, often without you even realizing the danger.
And to really illustrate why this matters, consider this. A Cisco security report found that a whopping 60% of cyber incidents affecting small and medium-sized businesses involve outdated systems.
60%.
Systems that appeared to be working perfectly well. Think about that. Ignoring those updates is like leaving your business vulnerable in more than half of all cyber attacks.
It's a sobering statistic, it really is. And here's another one. IDC discovered that businesses that don't regularly upgrade their technology experience 47% more downtime.
Wow. Nearly half again as much.
Yeah. So that initial saving of, not wanting to spend on upgrades, it can actually lead to significantly more costly disruptions down the road. Imagine the impact of your systems being down for almost twice as long just because you didn't want to update.
Exactly. So our goal today is to really pull back the curtain on these often invisible risks of relying on older technology that seems okay on the surface, but is silently weakening your defenses. We'll also be sharing some practical insights on how you can take a more proactive stance on managing technology risk and, well, avoid these potential pitfalls.
Okay, so where should we start? Maybe aging hardware and servers. That's something we can all picture. That reliable-looking server humming away in the back office.
Yeah, the one covered in dust, maybe.
Possibly.
Yeah.
But what are the hidden dangers we should be aware of there?
Well, what's fascinating, or maybe scary, is that the older hardware gets, the more prone it becomes to sudden failure.
Right, out of the blue.
Often at the worst possible moment, which can lead to unexpected and very expensive outages. It's like an old engine, you might keep patching it, but eventually a major breakdown is almost inevitable.
Good analogy.
Plus, older hardware often can't even run the latest security updates, which is like trying to secure a modern building with, ancient locks.
Precisely. And it's not just a hypothetical concern, is it?
No, not at all.
Consider a small manufacturing firm whose 7-year-old server crashed unexpectedly. This wasn't a gradual slowdown, it was a complete failure.
Total stop.
Resulted in 3 days of total downtime and a $30,000 loss. That kind of hit can be devastating for a small business.
Absolutely. That kind of loss could be a death knell for many small businesses. And it's not an isolated case, is it? I recall seeing some data that really highlights how common this is.
Yes. Gartner reports that a staggering 70% of businesses experience hardware failures directly linked to aging equipment.
70%. Wow.
So it's a very widespread issue and something businesses should definitely be thinking about for their own infrastructure.
Okay, so aging hardware is a clear and present danger. What about those firewalls and security appliances that have been in place for a while? They might have been top of the line when they were installed.
All right, 5, maybe 10 years ago.
But the security landscape changes so rapidly.
Exactly. What's critical to understand is that an older firewall, even if it appears to be functioning correctly, might be completely ineffective against today's sophisticated threats.
Like what kinds of threats?
Well, think about advanced persistent threats, often called APTs. These are like stealthy, long-term attacks designed to quietly infiltrate your systems.
Not a quick smash and grab.
Right, more like sneaking in and staying hidden. Older firewalls often lack the necessary updates, the intelligence, to recognize and block these kinds of modern threats. They create easy entry points for attackers.
So it's like having a security guard who's only trained to look for, burglars picking locks. But now there are threats coming through the digital backdoor they wouldn't even recognize.
That's a good way to put it.
Can you think of a real-world example of how an outdated firewall can lead to problems?
Yeah, unfortunately. We saw this happen with a local healthcare provider. They were relying on an older firewall, and while they experienced a significant data breach,
Oh, no.
exposed sensitive patient records, the consequences were severe major compliance fines related to HIPAA, the U.S. healthcare privacy law,
Huge fines.
and significant damage to their reputation within the community. Really hard to recover from that.
Ouch. Yeah, the reputational damage in a sector like healthcare can be incredibly difficult to bounce back from, and those HIPAA fines can be astronomical.
Are there any statistics that show how often outdated firewalls are actually targeted?
Yes, and the numbers are quite alarming. Fortinet has found that 82% of successful cyber attacks target outdated firewall configurations or other legacy systems.
82%, that's huge. It really highlights how attackers often look for these known weaknesses, these low-hanging fruit, knowing they're just easier to exploit.
So we've covered the physical hardware and the frontline security defenses like firewalls. What about the software that we use every day? We might have some older programs that still seem to work fine. So what's the potential danger there?
Right, the software we rely on. The risk with unsupported or obsolete software is really multi-layered.
Oh, so? Yeah.
Well, even if the software seems to be running without any glitches, if the vendor is no longer providing updates, especially those critical security patches, it essentially becomes a major vulnerability waiting to be exploited.
Okay.
Think of these patches as fixes for newly discovered weaknesses, holes in your digital armor that attackers know about. If you don't patch, those holes remain wide open.
That makes perfect sense. If there are known security flaws and no one's fixing them, it's just a matter of time before someone takes advantage. Right.
Exactly.
And you also mentioned legal and compliance implications. How do those come into play with outdated software?
Absolutely. Many industries have strict regulations regarding data security and the software used to handle sensitive information. For example, if you're processing credit card information, you likely need to comply with PCI DSS standards.
Right, BCI.
Using outdated or unsupported software that doesn't meet these security requirements can put you in direct violation of these regulations, leading to significant legal and financial repercussions. We saw this with a law firm, actually.
Yeah.
They suffered data loss due to an obsolete document management system, and they faced subsequent legal action as a result.
That's a really sobering thought. It's not just a technical problem, but it can land you in serious legal hot water, too. Are we seeing these kinds of issues happening frequently?
Unfortunately, yes. IBM has reported that over 50% of software-related breaches involve applications that are no longer supported by their vendors.
More than half.
Yeah, it's a really significant risk factor that many businesses might be overlooking, thinking, oh, it still works.
So it's really clear that just because something is functioning on the surface doesn't automatically mean it's secure. Can you elaborate on why working doesn't necessarily equal safe when it comes to technology?
Well, what's fascinating here, and a bit scary, is that cybersecurity vulnerabilities can exist in systems that appear to be operating perfectly.
How does that work?
These are essentially flaws in the software code or the system's architecture that maybe haven't been discovered yet by the good guys. Or if they have been discovered, they're no longer being addressed with security updates because the software or hardware is past its supported lifespan, its end of life.
So the vendor just stopped patching it.
Exactly. So while everything might seem normal day to day, there could be a backdoor wide open that you're completely unaware of, just waiting for an attacker to find and exploit it.
It's like having a house with a secret unlocked window that you don't know about everything. Seems secure from the front door, but a potential intruder has easy access elsewhere.
Perfect analogy.
Do the statistics really back up this idea that outdated technology leads to a higher risk of breaches?
They absolutely do. The Ponemon Institute has found that outdated software and hardware are contributing factors in a significant 45% of cyber breaches affecting small and medium-sized businesses.
45%. That's nearly half.
That's a huge percentage, highlighting how often these seemingly minor issues, these unpatched systems, can lead to major problems.
That's a really alarming statistic. And I also remember reading something about ransomware being more likely to target older systems.
Yes, and this is a particularly concerning trend right now. Cybersecurity Ventures reports that businesses that rely on legacy software face a 65% higher risk of falling victim to ransomware attacks.
65% higher risk. Wow.
Attackers often specifically target these older systems because they know they are more likely to have unpatched vulnerabilities and, frankly, weaker security controls overall. It's easier for them.
So beyond the obvious security implications, what are some of the other downsides of sticking with older technology, even if it seems to be running okay for now?
Another critical factor is the unpredictable nature of failure in older technology. Unlike modern systems where you might see a gradual decline in performance, maybe some warning signs.
Yeah, things slowing down.
Older components can simply fail. completely, without any warning signs whatsoever. This can lead to incredibly sudden and very expensive periods of downtime.
Mm.
And this lack of predictability makes it extremely difficult to budget for IT expenses and plan for future technology needs. You just don't know when it's going to hit.
It's like that old appliance in your house that you keep meaning to replace, and you just know it's going to break down the day before a big party or something.
Exactly. Murphy's Law of old tech.
And as we've already touched on, that downtime can be incredibly costly, can it?
Absolutely. Datto estimates that unplanned downtime can cost small and medium-sized businesses an average of $8,000 to $10,000 per hour.
Per hour. That's staggering.
Think about your systems being down for an entire workday. Those costs can quickly skyrocket into the tens or even hundreds of thousands. That comfort of avoiding an upgrade could cost you a week's salary for multiple employees in just a single day of downtime.
Wow, that puts it in perspective. A huge financial impact. And even if the old tech doesn't completely fail catastrophically, are there other ways it can negatively affect a business's day-to-day operations?
Yes, definitely. Even if your old technology seems relatively stable and avoids a complete meltdown, it's often significantly slower and less efficient than modern alternatives.
Just clunky.
Yeah. This can lead to a quiet but consistent drain on your overall productivity and your resources over time. Employees end up wasting valuable time fighting with slow systems, waiting for things to load, or struggling with outdated interfaces that just aren't intuitive.
That's like trying to run a marathon in flip-flops.
Yeah.
You might eventually get there, but it's going to take a lot longer and be a lot more frustrating than if you had the right equipment.
Exactly. And that frustration impacts morale, too.
Good point. Are there any studies that actually quantify this loss of productivity?
There are. Sharp Business Systems has found that employees can lose approximately 46 minutes per day simply due to dealing with slow or outdated technology.
Almost an hour a day.
Yeah. When you add that up over a year, it comes out to almost 200 hours per employee annually.
200 hours, that's like 5 full work weeks.
Think of it this way. Every year, you're essentially paying each employee for almost 3 weeks, maybe even up to 5 weeks, depending on how you calculate it, of not working effectively just due to slow tech. Consider the cumulative impact that has on your entire team's efficiency and ultimately your bottom line.
That's staggering. Almost 3, maybe 5 weeks of lost productivity per employee every year. So this if it ain't broke mentality can lead to some really significant real-world consequences. Let's delve deeper into those impacts. We've already discussed the financial costs of downtime, but what are some other ways businesses can suffer?
Well, beyond those direct financial losses from downtime and emergency repairs, which are often way more expensive than planned upgrades,
All right, the emergency tax.
there's a very real potential for serious reputational damage. In today's interconnected world, customers have certain expectations. They expect businesses to protect their data securely and provide reliable, consistent services. If your systems fail due to outdated technology, maybe their order doesn't go through. Or worse, if that failure leads to a data breach exposing their information, you can very quickly lose their trust. And as we all know, that trust can be incredibly difficult, sometimes impossible to earn back.
Absolutely. In today's digital age, news of outages or security breaches can spread like wildfire, especially on social media. Can you think of a specific example of a business suffering reputational damage because of outdated tech?
We heard about a small to medium-sized business retailer that experienced repeated payment processing outages, all because of their outdated point-of-sale infrastructure.
A nightmare during busy times.
Exactly. Customers became incredibly frustrated, couldn't complete their purchases, lines backed up. Eventually, many just took their business to competitors. The retailer suffered a permanent loss of customers and a tarnished reputation within their local community.
That's a tough blow for any business, especially a smaller one where word of mouth and local reputation are so critical. And I recall seeing some statistics on just how likely customers are to abandon a business after these kinds of issues.
Yes, the National Cybersecurity Alliance reports that a significant 60% of small and medium-sized business customers will actively avoid companies that have experienced cybersecurity breaches or repeated service outages.
60% will just walk away.
That really highlights the direct link between the health and reliability of your technology and the loyalty of your customer base. It's not just an internal IT problem.
So beyond the financial and reputational hits, there are also the compliance and legal risks we touched on earlier. Can you elaborate on those a little more?
Absolutely. Depending on your industry and where you operate, there are likely to be specific regulations and compliance standards that you absolutely must adhere to regarding data security and the technology you utilize.
Like API GDPR.
Exactly. Healthcare organizations in the U.S. must comply with HIPAA regulations to protect patient health information. Businesses handling the personal data of EU citizens need to adhere to GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulation. Using outdated software or hardware that doesn't meet these stringent security requirements can put you in direct violation.
And the consequences.
Potentially massive fines and significant legal repercussions. It's not just a slap on the wrist.
It's like ignoring crucial safety regulations in a factory you might get by for a while. But if there's an incident or an audit, the consequences could be devastating. Do we have any real-world examples of businesses facing these kinds of compliance issues due to outdated tech?
We heard about a healthcare practice that underwent a routine audit, and it was discovered that they were still using insecure legacy systems, really old software, to store sensitive patient information.
And the outcome?
They faced very significant financial penalties as a direct result of this non-compliance, directly tied to the old tech.
And those regulatory fines can be substantial, can't they? I mean, we hear about millions sometimes.
Indeed. The Ponemon Institute estimates that, on average, regulatory noncompliance costs small and medium-sized businesses around $1.5 million annually in terms of fines and associated legal fees.
1.5 million average.
That's a massive financial burden that can often be directly traced back to neglecting essential technology updates and security measures, just trying to save a few bucks on upgrades.
So it's abundantly clear that sticking with the if it ain't broke approach to technology is a really risky strategy. It's just not sustainable. So how can businesses shift away from this reactive mindset and build a more forward-looking, proactive IT risk strategy?
The key really is to be proactive rather than reactive. It sounds simple, but it requires deliberate effort.
Okay, first step.
The first crucial step is to conduct regular IT risk assessments. This means taking a close, honest look at your entire technology infrastructure, hardware, software, network devices, everything on a consistent basis.
How often is regular?
At least annually, but ideally more frequently for critical systems. The goal is to identify any hardware or software that's outdated, no longer supported by the vendor, or has known security vulnerabilities.
Okay, find the weak spots. Then what?
Once you've identified these potential weaknesses, it's essential to prioritize addressing them. You can't fix everything at once, usually. So prioritize based on their potential severity. How bad could it be if this failed or was breached, and the impact they could have on your critical business operations?
So it's about knowing where your biggest vulnerabilities lie so you can take steps to fix them before they cause a major problem. What's the next crucial step after identifying these risks?
So the next important element is to implement a well-defined technology lifecycle management plan.
Okay, what does that involve?
This is essentially a structured plan, a roadmap that outlines when you will regularly upgrade or retire your various technology components, from servers and workstations to software applications and network gear.
So planning ahead for replacement.
Exactly. By proactively budgeting for these upgrades on a scheduled basis, maybe setting aside funds each year rather than waiting for a crisis to occur, you can avoid those much more expensive emergency repairs and replacements. And you maintain a more secure and efficient environment overall.
That makes perfect sense. It's like having a preventative maintenance schedule for your car. Regular oil changes and tune-ups help prevent major breakdowns down the road.
Precisely.
What about keeping a close eye on things in real time? Is that important?
Continuous monitoring is absolutely vital in today's environment. You should implement solutions that provide real-time monitoring of your critical systems.
What kind of monitoring?
Tools that can detect early warning signs of potential hardware issues like rising server temperatures or failing disk drives, or any suspicious activity on the network that could indicate a developing security breach. Regularly reviewing performance metrics and security alerts from these tools is crucial for catching problems in their early stages before they can escalate into significant disruptions.
So it's like having an early warning system in place, like smoke detectors or security cameras for your tech, that can alert you to potential trouble before it actually strikes.
Exactly. Catching things early makes a huge difference.
And finally, what about thinking about the bigger picture of our technology investments? Not just replacing like for like.
That leads us to the importance of strategically investing in modernization. This means actively considering adopting newer technologies.
Such as?
Things like cloud-based services, which often have built-in security and scalability, or designing more scalable and resilient infrastructure from the ground up. It's crucial to recognize that modernizing your technology isn't just an added expense, it's actually an investment.
An investment in what?
An investment in your business's future productivity, the ongoing trust of your customers, and your overall security posture in an ever-evolving threat landscape. It pays dividends.
That's a great way to frame it, not as a drain on resources, but as a vital investment in the future success and security of the business. So, practically speaking, how can businesses actually begin to shift their mindset away from this potentially dangerous, if it ain't broke, way of thinking?
Yeah.
It could be hard to change that culture.
It really starts with fostering a change in culture and building greater awareness across the entire organization. It can't just be an IT thing.
Okay, how do you do that?
One important step is to actively educate your entire team. Make sure that your staff, from the front lines to the executive suite, understands the very real hidden risks that are associated with continuing to rely on older, unsupported technology.
Get everyone on the same page.
Exactly. Cultivate a company culture that truly values proactive maintenance and robust security practices as essential responsibilities for everyone, not just the IT department. Security is everyone's job.
That makes a lot of sense. Everyone needs to understand why keeping technology up to date is so important for the overall health and security of the business, not just because IT says so. What else can businesses do to make this shift?
For many businesses, especially smaller ones, forming a strategic partnership with experienced IT specialists or a reliable managed service provider, an MSP, can be incredibly valuable.
Bringing in outside help.
Yes, these external experts can bring an objective viewpoint and provide unbiased assessments of your current technology risks. They see this stuff all the time across different clients. They can also recommend and implement the necessary upgrades and security enhancements that are specifically tailored to address your unique business needs and industry requirements, bringing a level of specialized knowledge that might not exist within your internal team.
That sounds like a particularly smart move, especially, as you said, for small and medium-sized businesses that might not have a dedicated in-house IT department with deep security expertise. It lets them focus on their core business.
Right. Leverage that expertise.
And ultimately, how should a business's technology strategy align with its overall business goals? You mentioned it's not just an IT thing.
Ultimately, it's about fully integrating your technology strategy with your overarching business strategy. You need to ensure that your technology investments directly align with your core business objectives.
Like increasing sales or improving efficiency.
Exactly. And actively support your goals for growth, increased efficiency, and long-term resilience in the face of technological change and evolving threats. Technology shouldn't be viewed as a separate entity or, just a cost center or an afterthought. It should be a fundamental enabler that drives your business success and protects your valuable assets, your data, your reputation, your operations.
Let's bring this all together with a couple of real-world scenarios. Can you share a compelling story about a business that proactively addressed its aging technology and experienced significant positive results? The good story.
Absolutely. Let's talk about a regional accounting firm. They made a strategic decision, a proactive one, to replace all of its aging computer systems and upgrade its critical tax preparation software well in advance of their incredibly demanding tax season.
Smart timing.
Very smart. What was the tangible outcome? They experienced remarkably smooth operations throughout their peak period. Absolutely no unexpected technology-related downtime, which is huge for an accounting firm during tax season.
A huge relief, I bet.
And their improved efficiency and overall reliability actually led to increased client satisfaction. Clients noticed things were running smoothly, which in turn directly contributed to a very healthy 15% increase in their annual revenue that year.
Wow, a 15% revenue bump.
The clear and powerful lesson here is that being proactive about your technology maintenance and upgrades isn't just about avoiding disaster. It can actually create very real and measurable business opportunities.
That's a fantastic example of how a forward-thinking approach to technology can directly impact the bottom line in a positive way. Now, let's look at the other side of the coin. Can you share a cautionary tale about a company that unfortunately stuck with the if it ain't broke mentality and ultimately faced negative consequences? The bad story.
Unfortunately, yes. We heard about a small manufacturing company that regrettably decided to postpone much-needed updates to their firewall and critical business software, their ERP system.
Why? Cost savings.
Yeah, they operated under the assumption that things were working well enough, and they wanted to avoid incurring the upfront costs of upgrades. Classic, if it ain't broke thinking.
And the result?
The unfortunate result was a devastating ransomware attack that completely halted their entire production line.
Oh, brutal for manufacturing.
Completely shut down. It ended up costing them approximately $100,000 in emergency recovery expenses, paying consultants, maybe even the ransom, dealing with the fallout. And it caused significant and lasting damage to their hard-earned reputation with their loyal client base who couldn't get their orders.
$100,000 plus reputational damage.
The crucial takeaway from this very painful example is that the apparent stability of older systems can be a very dangerous and ultimately costly illusion, one that can effectively mask catastrophic underlying vulnerabilities just waiting to be exploited by malicious actors. That saving costs them way more in the end.
Those two real-world stories really highlight the stark contrast, don't they, between the benefits of a proactive approach and the potentially severe consequences of neglecting your technology infrastructure. Looking ahead, what are some key considerations for businesses that want to truly future-proof their technology infrastructure? How do they avoid becoming that second story?
Well, future-proofing really boils down to embracing both flexibility and scalability in all of your technology choices.
Flexibility and scalability, what does that mean in practice?
It fundamentally means opting for systems and solutions that have the inherent ability to grow and adapt alongside your evolving business needs as you add customers or new products or locations.
The tech can keep up.
Right. And it also means choosing tech that can adapt to effectively address emerging technological advancements and the ever-changing landscape of security threats. Think strategically about cloud-based solutions, which are often inherently scalable and updated by the provider. Think about modular and adaptable systems and adhering to open industry standards whenever feasible so you're not locked into one vendor forever.
So it's about building in agility and the capacity to evolve right from the start, not painting yourself into a corner with proprietary or quickly outdated tech. What other forward-thinking strategies should businesses be considering?
It's also absolutely essential to cultivate a strong commitment to continuous education and ongoing adaptation. You can't just set it and forget it. But technology landscape is in a constant state of flux. It changes daily sometimes. So you need to ensure that you and your team stay well informed about the latest industry trends, the continuously evolving threat landscape, what the attackers are doing now, and the most effective best practices for diligently managing technology risk.
How do businesses stay informed?
This might involve investing in regular training programs for your staff, subscribing to reputable security news sources, attending industry webinars or conferences, or actively engaging with reliable industry resources and expert insights like listening to this podcast.
Absolutely. Continuous learning and staying informed are definitely key in the fast-paced world of technology and security. And finally, what role does proactive budgeting play in future-proofing a business's technology? We mentioned it earlier.
Finally, make proactive budgeting a major and ongoing priority. Don't treat IT spending as just an overhead to be minimized.
Treat it as an investment.
Exactly. Regularly allocate sufficient funds, specifically for routine technology maintenance, implementing necessary updates and upgrades before they become critical, and strategically exploring opportunities for innovation, maybe trying out new tech that could give you a competitive edge. This consistent and planned investment will significantly help you avoid those much larger and far more disruptive and expensive surprises down the road when critical systems inevitably fail or serious security breaches unfortunately occur. It's fundamentally about thoughtfully planning for the future rather than simply reacting to immediate problems as they arise.
So, as we've thoroughly explored today, that seemingly harmless if it ain't broke, don't fix it approach to technology can actually be a really dangerous and potentially very costly gamble for you and your business.
It really can.
Just because your older technology is still running doesn't inherently mean that it's secure, efficient, or truly reliable in today's complex digital environment. The hidden risks are very real and can unfortunately lead to significant financial losses, lasting reputational damage, and potentially serious compliance issues.
We sincerely hope this in-depth discussion has strongly encouraged everyone listening to take a much closer and more critical look at your own current technology infrastructure. and to actively challenge any feelings of complacency you might have regarding older, seemingly stable systems. Is it really stable or just waiting to break?
Right.
Making the important transition to a proactive and forward-thinking mindset is absolutely crucial for effectively mitigating these very real risks and ultimately positioning your business for sustained growth, long-term resilience, and future success in an increasingly digital world.
We really encourage you to take some dedicated time now, maybe this week, to thoroughly evaluate your current technology. Talk to your IT team or your provider. Identify any potential vulnerabilities that might be hidden beneath what currently appears to be a stable surface.
Don't wait for the crisis.
Please don't allow that potentially misleading perception of functionality to unknowingly become the weakest, most exploitable link in your business's critical defenses.
Thank you for joining us for this important discussion on the Technology Risk Podcast. If you found this valuable, please subscribe to our podcast on Spotify or Apple Music. That way, you ensure you don't miss our future insights.